A lot of our problems, a lot of our situations are because we made some dumb decision. Okay, so what? We're human. Who hasn't made a dumb decision in their life at some point? Let's move on. The second point in getting through a difficult time is be kind to yourself. Do you realize how often we beat ourselves up and how severely we beat ourselves up? Not somebody else, but ourselves. Now, people over time through our life have said things to us. And that stuff rests in our subconscious. And it's there. It's there and it's doing its little, dirt. How many times have you said to yourself, I'm so stupid. I keep doing the same thing. I can't keep see how to make this different. I'm so tired. I listen, be kind to yourself. First of all, life happens. Things happen outside of your control, but you remain in control. Whether you caused the crap or not, doesn't matter. A lot of our problems, a lot of our situations are because we made some dumb decision. Okay, so what? We're human. Who hasn't made a dumb decision in their life at some point? That's a given. Let's move on. So be kind to yourself. If you can't say anything else to yourself, but I'm human and, I'm not going to do this to myself again. I'm good. I'm fine. One mistake doesn't mean you're a bad person. One foolish decision doesn't mean you're stupid. Things happen. Now, what are you going to do in the midst of this difficult situation? Whether you caused it, whether something else caused it, doesn't matter. What are we going to do to get ourselves through it? Begin with being kind to yourself so that you can build the strength that you need in order to take the next step. If you're constantly beating up on yourself and ridiculing yourself, there's no way that you can have the strength or the energy to face what you need to face to get out of what you're doing. So I was looking at some scripture, and I got to tell you, I was really kind of surprised. I was going after one scripture, and I found a whole string of them that I had no idea they were saying the same thing, but I didn't know was in there so many different times. I just didn't. I knew of it in one place. I'm going to share it with you. And when we think about how we are supposed to feel about ourselves, we will say, we'll talk about self-esteem. We'll talk about how we should encourage ourselves. We talk about self-help and all that's nice. But the fundamental feeling, I'm hesitating to use the word emotion because that can make us a little bit unstable. And I don't mean that. The fundamental reality that we are to feel and have about ourselves is love. We're supposed to love ourselves. And I found in Leviticus 19:18, I was floored because usually love of self in this regard is in the New Testament. We usually just kind of know that feeling flows with Jesus talk. It says Leviticus 19:18, write that down. Just write it down just because, just thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Love your neighbor as yourself. Now, generally speaking, we don't really have a whole lot of problems unraveling that because we know we're supposed to love our neighbor. We know we're supposed to treat our neighbor right. We know we're supposed to have the right attitude with our human family. We know that. But love your neighbor like you love yourself. So how we treat other people is a direct reflection of how we treat and what we think about ourselves. So if we are dismissive of other people, we may give ourselves time and attention, but we will be dismissive of ourselves at some place in our life, some little sneaky place that maybe you're even unaware of, because we reflect out what's on the inside. So if we can really see exactly how we feel about ourselves based on how we treat and how we feel about other people. If we are intolerant of other people, there's an area in our lives we are intolerant with ourselves. Guaranteed. There's no difference because we are who we are at all times. A different side of you may come out, but the root is there. So the scriptures say you should love your neighbor as yourself, which means love of self comes first. Now, let me just put it real plain and real simple. When we're in a difficult situation, struggling, whatever the difficulty is, loving yourself says, I'm getting me out of this. We all understand what self-preservation is. We understand that. The dots. We take ourselves where we go. Wherever we go, we find ourselves. How we conduct ourselves, how we do anything is how we do everything. That's why during this time of the lockdown or whatever we called it, from March all the way through, we stayed positive because we wanted to make sure that everybody had a strength built in them to get through it and look beyond it and not muddle about how sad and disgusting this is and I can't do this and I can't do that, because when you finish whining, you still can't do it. The only thing you've done is made yourself feel bad. So what we did throughout this whole time was talking about how to best use our time to our advantage. What did we need to do to strengthen ourselves so that when this mess is over, we come out better than when we went in? It's no magic. There is no magic. You can't pray through this that you'll come out better. You have to do something. You got to figure out what you need to do to make yourself better at the end of all of this, if that's what you want, if that's what you care about. But when you look at the scripture, it says, love yourself. So tell me, if you love yourself, what would you deny yourself? You would not deny yourself anything that's good. Anything that is within your power, you would do. I got some mothers on the line and probably some dads on here too. You look at that little baby that's little and cute and helpless, and even when they get a little bigger, you still feel that there's nothing you wouldn't do for your kid. Nothing. Even when you're the worst pissed off with them, you still will move heaven and earth in their behalf. So the scripture is saying, think of yourself the same way. This is not a question of being selfish. It's not a question of lack of humility. That has no place in this discussion. It's talking about loving yourself. And that's really generic and it's real simple. What would you do if you loved yourself enough to get through this situation? When the foot is on the back of your neck and you want to save your life, what would you do? If there's a threat against you in your employment situation, you can go cuss the manager out or the boss out or whoever, whatever you call them. You can cuss them out if you want to, but that's not self-preservation. That's not self-love. Sometimes we have to shut down. That's the purpose of meditation. I'm giving that a little plug because we're going to, some of you we need to work with that. Slow down. The scripture says, be still and know that I am God. Slow down and say, what do I need to do? Because I love me and I need to protect me. And I need to get myself through this situation with the greatest amount of strength that I can. What do I need to do to save myself? Because if you can't save yourself, you can't help anybody else. If you're going through a situation and you crying the blues, you can't help nobody else. If you're complaining, you can't help anybody else. You can't even help yourself. So at this point, I look in the mirror, however you do it, in times of meditation, you're with yourself. What do I need to do to make this work so that I have my life in good order when the difficulty pass? And I will make sure I give it all to you. Leviticus, that one was 19:18, and then Leviticus 19:34 simply says, similar, the same thing, and thou shalt love him as thyself. So it's back to you. Everything reflects back to you. It reflects back to you and then out again. You reflect out, and what you reflect out comes back. The deal is we pay very close attention to what we are doing for ourselves, because once you do that, you won't mistreat yourself. That's what this issue is about. And then you won't allow others to mistreat you either. Once you have built yourself to a place of strength and confidence, and you feeling good, you might not be there yet, but you are better than you were last year. You won't let somebody mistreat you. You won't let somebody steal your life from you, but you have to build it first. Anything that you have created, you don't let anybody tear that down. So you're not looking for something from the outside to make you whole. You are making yourself whole, healthy, and complete, because we are indwelled by a powerful God. Matthew, write it down. Matthew 19:19 is another one. Honor thy father and thy mother, and thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. It's so interesting. And I think I got like 10 scriptures, and 11. We don't have time to go through all of them. I'll probably post them. By the way, if you have not already, you need to join the group, A Sip from the Well. I'll post the scriptures in there so that you can look at them for yourself. Each one of them brings you back to the same thing: loving yourself. That is so critically important. Give yourself permission to love yourself. Do good stuff for yourself. Anything that you do for yourself makes you stronger and able to handle the next thing, this thing and the next thing. We're out of time. Go to the blog, cllawrence.org, and look at Just Thinking. That's the name of the blog. And it's on Facebook too. We'll continue the conversation. I am here every Tuesday. I invite you to join me here in my little piece of the universe, my responsibility to share life-giving messages to you. I'll see you in the spirit next time.